This is a prophecy of a Christian Orthodox saint that lived over, 300 years ago, Saint Cosmas of Itolos, 1714 to 1779. He said a magic box will appear that will drive the world crazy. He was referring to television, of course. For the use of television as the dormant relationship with God. Undoubtedly, today humanity has been suffocated by perverse use of television, both at the level of production of spectacles and at the level of new ideological ideas. This particular prophecy highlights the passage of a wonderful technology such as television into exploitation and subjugation by the collective apostate from God organization of societies. The first historical, social, prophetic projection of television takes place in the 11th chapter of the Apocalypse, approximately 1927 years ago, while the second one takes place about 276 years ago by Saint Cosmas of Aetolia of northern Greece, as a future powerful system, an instrument of spiritual and social control, and in many cases as a huge means of political pressure and propaganda. In the Apocalypse, the world's attention is directed via television to the bodies of the two witnesses, the prophets of God, to the joy of the unrepentant inhabitants of the earth, and they see from the people and tribes and languages and nations the corpse of these 3 days and a half, and their corpses you will not leave in the grave. Revelation 11:9. The Apocalypse emphasizes that worldwide, omnipresent seeing is the image of the corpses of God's two witnesses. The eschatological end times theological density of the 11th chapter of Revelation is maximum. Also, St. Cosmas said television is emphasized as in the Apocalypse, not as a development of the perception of the beautiful and beneficial to mankind, but mainly as a deeper integration of the parts of sin towards others and towards the whole, the general apostasy from God. Too many conferences, texts, speeches, and scattered references to scientific studies raise the issue of negative television shows. I believe that St. Cosmas considers as the madness of the world, quote unquote, due to the attraction, the magic of television, and the use of it in derogatory ways, the differentiation of the worst of consciousness, and the ensuing inactivity of communion with God, which means eternal spiritual death. Indeed, when you choose the multicolor of television standards, leaving the spiritual life of Christian orthodoxy, when you become submissive to its corruption broadcasts, when finally you thus deny eternity near God, which is more alive and real than historic time, then you really are irrational and crazy, quote unquote. Undoubtedly, many TV shows and series are a conversation with evil and demonic entities. Beneficial shows, as a blip in the ocean of television time, are few and far between. We know that the study of history helps us to orient ourselves in our journey through time. The prophecy of St. Cosmas is not a reference to history because it concerns an event with future coming historicity. This is a creation from scratch, quote unquote, at a time when television as an objective reality did not exist at the time of St. Cosmas. It was in non-existence, not even electricity, nor cars or anything of modern contraptions. Now, because in whatever direction we move forward, we do not escape from history, that's why it's useful and instructive as a necessity to cite some historical facts that at a scientific level, Father Augustine Cantiotis in Christian Spirit, year 1977, sought an ethical and scientific approach to the issues of television under the title, Shut Off the Televisions. His research is also linked to the citation of scientific material from which we will borrow indicatively several aspects of it, and he writes about this. A. The president of Hellenic Society Psychobiology, Mr. Dracoulidis, in an interview, mentioned some characteristic examples But let's listen to what he says verbatim. Every now and then we receive statistical records from America. American television showed 6,000 criminal acts in 1 year, but ours also competes worthily in murders, robberies, and other things. B. However, Professor Michailidis Neuros developed the topic television and the sensitive or nervous child at the 7th Thessaloniki Pediatric Symposium, talks specifically about the effect of television on sensitive or nervous children. C. So television is a school of lies, fraud, and crime. We don't say it, but it is confirmed by research, which has been carried out by conscientious teachers and professors. D. Suddenly, in the middle of the deep night of indifference to the moral education of our people, a voice was heard. Turn off the televisions. They're killing our children. The voice, the slogan, turn off the televisions, was heard on behalf of an Athenian newspaper, which recently conducted a major investigation related to television as it functions in Greece. Comment, undoubtedly today, the mental absorption of the negative messages of television and the degree of its negative effectiveness on individuals and social groups are greater than those of what they were in the 1970s. And next, we consider it our duty to collect from a niptic angle spiritual damages caused by psycho-corruption in content television, indicative damages. First, to the soul becomes polluted and cannot accept the grace of the invisible and untouchable God. Second, man is ruled by the spirit of passionate scenes and dialogues. 3, man gradually becomes unable to experience the nature of his soul as a spiritual being which will one day lay its body on the ground. 4th, he forgets the spiritual orthodox meaning of life and does not prepare for the world of life beyond the grave. 5th, he does not realize, according to God, the temporality of life. 6th, he does not wish through the sacraments to enter the orbit of the philanthropic God. 7th, finally, he fails to understand that God is the benevolent cause of everything, which is truly revealed only to those who avoid sin, which is generously spread by television. Undoubtedly, in his prophecy, St. Cosmas refers, I believe, to the worsening of the inactivity of man's communion with God due to the inner apostasy of people, which is projected and cultivated mainly by television. This divine tongue, those of the faithful, incline, father of intellect to fear, theon, creton, and incline, St. Cosmas, to a virtuous life from evil deeds. This is from a prayer of the rule of St. Cosmas. This is by Nikos Sakalakis, mathematician, and I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.